Yes, welcome everyone. Let's take a moment of silence before we begin the reading. So today we can maybe start from here. Conversations with Sri Aurobindo by Pavitra. So yeah, if anyone would like to read, please go ahead.
Yeah, I think I can start. Friday, January 22nd, 1926. These last few days have not brought much progress, for my mind was extremely distracted and agitated by different mental occupations. Everything is settled now, but I don't see very well what I ought to do. My mind is divided into two parts. The first, which uses language, reasons, and formulates, is that which is silent. A certain attention is, however, necessary in order to prevent inopportune thoughts from arising through the throat and disturbing this peace. The other part is attentive, its particular function being the vision of inner images. Its center is Jnana, Agyana,
Ajna.
Ajna,
Yeah, center.
Ajna,
Yeah.
center. The former is inactive so far, but it is not always still for all that. It is centered here and there and does not know what to do. Thoughts, in fact, have their origin in the solar plexus, rise up through the throat, and invade the brain where they become conscious. The still mind has no definite localization. It is a question of habit. For the moment you are localizing it in the brain, but its true seat, which corresponds to the supramental truth, is Sahasra. Above this, very consciousness will spread out and become the cosmic consciousness. There are two different points to consider. The first is to empty the active mind of thoughts and leave it motionless. It is a useful faculty. The second is to remain completely detached from the thoughts which may arise in this active mind. Later, you will see the thoughts formulating there, not rising from below, but coming from the surroundings or from above. And you will have to learn to recognize the truth. So you must learn to regard these thoughts as external objects without ever letting yourself be carried away. Besides, you may now onwards, while keeping the lower mind still, look upwards to center your consciousness there gradually.
Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, if there is anything anyone wants to share here.
Yeah, just something. As we were discussing before we started this session, the workbook on psychic education, it talks about, the power of observation, as in how through self-observation you get self-knowledge. And there was this exercise about how to locate the I. Like if I'm saying, I feel like doing this, I want to do this, I think we should do this. So there was this thing that see where that I is coming from. Like I think I want to do it is brain. I feel I want to do it is maybe emotion, right? Like those ways it's guiding. So a lot of, like, in the sense, since I have read that not very long ago, it's like a parallel thing happening, that anything that's arising, I'm able to box it. I mean, I don't not box it, but know, okay, where is this coming from? Because once I know where this is coming from, it doesn't become fully me. I can have some level of step back position better to it. Like when you talk about, say, the witness Purusha, or having some, like, who's the master? Like the thought is the master, the emotion is the master. And when I can see the point of the center of origin, I feel I have a better grip on things. Like rather than it gripping me, I can make more sense of what's happening where. So similarly, how when so beautifully they are discussing that where is this coming from, and how, we say that, like, JK talks about how thoughts are conditionings and how we pick up from here and there and stuff. He also talks about it. So this makes a lot of sense, right? Like there are some thoughts originating in the solar plexus, you can see them coming, while when you are able to hold them, like in the sense, if they are rested, then you'll see they're coming from the environment, from the outside. So when one starts doing that, then the grip of these things is less on you. It doesn't become, it's like, for us, a lot of times it's a do and die situation, as in, मैंने बोला, मैंने सोचा, मैंने करा, मुझे कैसे बोल दिया. But when you see, okay, who in me, what in me is saying that, like, this is nothing new I'm sharing. And yet, for me to be able to identify the I or the source really helps me in putting things in a truer perspective. I feel it makes it simpler, and it helps me be a bit more step back than originally I think I was. So I found that very helpful about where what is coming from and what we just said. Yeah.
Yeah. So if anyone has anything more to share, please add on. I think it's totally crystal clear whatever here we have. And yeah. Okay, so yeah, so there two centers were mentioned. One is Ajna Chakra, which is the center, third eye center, center between the eyebrows. Other one was Sahasrar, which is above uh, the head, thousand petal lotus above the top of head. So this we talk from time to time about centering or placing our consciousness there. Yeah. So I'm then moving ahead if there is nothing more at the moment. Hmm. So we can take this one now.
Should I read it?
Yeah, why not?
Monday, January 25th, 1926. I can at times keep my attention fixed, turned upwards, pointed towards the how do you pronounce it?
Sehasrar.
Sehsrar.
So in English
Sehsrar.
we add an extra A, but otherwise it's Sehasrar, so you can say Sehasrara.
Sehsrar. Yeah. And my mind calm and empty of thoughts. But all is closed up there. I am at the door and knock. Something curious happened this morning. I woke up with waves of powerful vibrations at the top of the head and in the pit of the stomach. They were even physical. My scalp was sensitized. These vibrations were connected with a sort of anguish, though I was not frightened and reproduced these vibrations in order to study them. You must be prepared for such things. You have called, and the force descends, prepares the instruments, right up to the physical itself. Everything in man is opposed to the work of the force, and it must be transformed. The very cells will be transmuted later. The feeling of fear must be put aside completely. Even when an experience is likely to be dangerous, one must remain calm and master of oneself, for without that, danger comes immediately. The help is always given if one remains master. Here it is a simple preparation, reply to the call given, a reply which, besides, does not always come. Should I stop here or read the last?
Um, yeah, you can read the next one also.
The mental states are becoming more marked joy, calm, and fervent seeking on one side, but deep sadness when I am separated from my inner light, or when my mind, troubled by an outer cause, becomes a great obstacle to sadhana. It is normal and connected with the psychic being. Then we spoke of Z, whose letter announcing her early departure from France had just come.
Yes, you can actually leave because it's we won't understand it. So something very personal. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. Hmm. So again, I think it is in continuation with the earlier one where Sri Aurobindo had suggested to place the attention above the head, and that's why when we do that practice, then there is a force that descends in the body. It's a very, it's like a feel. if you can have the feeling, it's not like something intangible. You feel that there is a force which is descending in the body. So on this, Sri Aurobindo shares that you have called and the force descends. So when I am placing my attention above my head, I am calling the force down. So things will happen. That's why he shares that the physical scalp is sensitized and some things I can feel. So you have called and the force descends, prepares the instruments right up to the physical itself. So even the cellular consciousness, slowly it will change that descending force. Yeah. And since everything in us is a of a different taste, we have a different taste. Mind has a different taste, vital has a different taste, body cells are used to a different kind of an energy. So when that force descends and things happen, then you don't feel very, it's not like at the very first go it's only delight. So he says that vibrations were connected with a sort of anguish, because the taste is not like that. हमारा टेस्ट जो है वो डिफरेंट तरीके का है, वी आर नॉट यूज टू इट, सो दैट्स व्हाई. And then he says that the feeling of fear must be put aside completely also, because if things are happening then we may get afraid, oh my god, what is happening to me, like that. So there is no place for that. The feeling of fear must be put aside completely. Even when an experience is likely to be dangerous, one must remain calm and master of oneself, for without that danger comes immediately. So I think this is also very important for those of us to whom it resonates. Yeah. Yeah, and then the lower one also, I think it's pretty clear that he says that mental states are more joyful, calm, and there is also this aspiration which is there, but a deep sadness when I'm so, and the moment then there is a disconnect from the true consciousness, one feels a deep sadness. So Sri Aurobindo shares that it is normal and it is connected with the psychic being. So uh, we are developing or cultivating a newer taste, and when for a moment that disconnect is there, then we recognize that unease, that something is not okay, and then one has to take maybe time again in solitude, or make that connection again, or do something which maybe helps again having that connection. Yeah. So anything here, anyone?
Yeah, on the lines which you have underlined really go very deep. Like, although again, it's like not something new that don't be afraid, don't be scared. But even if we factually, reasonably look in everyday life, when something is dangerous, when something is risky, we often go into a panic mode and end up doing things which actually spoil a lot of things. So if one must remain, if one is calm and master of oneself, because the level of danger won't increase or decrease, right? I mean, it would rather, the harm would come. The harm comes when I panic. So it's a fact if we even use, reason and the things we have done in the past. But this last line, the help is always given if one remains master. So I was just reflecting on that, that if one remains the master, then one can keep that connection established, right? Say, for example, I don't know why this came to me, Draupadi, right? That we spoke about when in the courtroom she was calling to Krishna. If she would have panicked, right, the connection would not have been there, but her faith was so, kind of overpowering to everything that she knew he's there. And this we have seen, right, in so many things that we have read, that if one is able to maintain that, because if one starts panicking, one just gets scattered, right? One is all over, and there is, even if help needs to be given, how will you receive it? Like, how will I receive it? So I think just to even be able to receive, if I'm focused still, if the faith remains at the top or more concretely, it makes so much like sense at all levels, and resonates so strongly that if you're not panicking, then you will also receive help, and obviously you will be able to better take care of things. So, yeah, thank you.
Yes. Anything more? Anyone? Okay. We can take something very. Yeah, I think we can take only the first half. This much is enough for us. Yeah, so if anyone wants to read, please go ahead.
Yes. Monday, February 1st, 1926. All these days, I had many difficulties with my mind. At one moment, when I succeed in rising above it, all goes well. But at other times, I am overwhelmed. Meditation is painful and without much profit. It is at other moments that I feel sometimes how thin the wheel is. The best method I have found consists precisely in climbing as high as possible, then the lower being is calmed. The three centers, Sahasrara, Agna, and Solar, are then united. When not in meditation, the mechanical mind is very restless, and I have difficulty even in reading, in concentrating on anything at all. Whence this difficulty? Should I put yet more energy into my meditation and my efforts? What is happening to you is common. The dynamic mind and not the mechanical, which only repeats the actions and thoughts of ordinary life, takes as much more force as the other higher parts are calm, and as at that certain periods it is reduced to silence. I'll just read that one more time. The dynamic mind takes as much more force as the other higher parts are calm, and as at certain periods it is reduced to silence. When one relapses during meditation, one gets out of one's depth in its turmoil. It is a common experience. Do not be frightened by it, but continue to detach yourself more and more. When the detachment is complete, the waves will gradually become less powerful and will die away. This experience must be extended to the entire conscious life and not only to the period of meditation.
Yeah, so just one more line. I think this is also relevant. The moment you feel tired, you must not force yourself. Overdoing will cause another delay. It is better to go more slowly but surely. So I think this is referring to the meditation part, that should I put yet more energy into my meditation? Yeah. So Jetsunma also shares on this that if, for example, you sit to meditate, or and you are feeling like sleepy, and then after that you are feeling frustrated that why did I sleep? So better not to do that, because maybe the body wants some sleep, the mind wants that rest. So first sleep. Jetsunma shares that first complete your sleep and then do the meditation, and it works really nicely, because then we will not be sleeping while sitting in meditation. So if there is need of sleep in the body, mind, and the being, then we should not be forcing that, okay, I have, it's my time and I have to sit, and I haven't sat for long. That would not help. So yes. And this detachment part, I think we have again earlier also discussed several times, that how when we do not entertain these cherished guests, when we, as we were talking about stepping back, when we are able to again and again know that yes, they are there, they will remain there, but I have nothing to do with them. So slowly they lose grip over us. It's like the more attention we give to these thoughts and images and feelings, disturbing images, feelings and emotions, the more they gain momentum. And it is my attention that is giving them momentum. I am thinking that, oh, ये देखो, इनको मैं कैसे इग्नोर कर दूं, ये मेरे बिल्कुल सामने बार बार आ जाते हैं. But actually में, the more attention we give to them, the more they become more stronger, more concrete, more real. And if we are able to put our attention into something higher, loftier, give ourselves some good work which is there in front of us, so then they may be there and we are aware that they are there, but we have nothing to do with them now. Those thoughts and storylines and all the unconnected dots that we have in our head. So he shares that do not be frightened by it, but continue to detach yourself more and more. When the detachment is complete, the waves will gradually become less powerful and will die away. So it is because of detachment that the waves are slowly becoming less powerful. The more attached I am to my storylines and threads in my thoughts and feelings, the more I give them kind of entertainment and I believe in them, the more they actually become powerful. So he says that when the detachment is complete, the waves will gradually become less powerful and will die away. This experience must be extended to the entire conscious life, not only to the period of meditation. So slowly it has to, of course, all of us are aware that it has to just totally stretch into the 24/7 of our life. It's not that only those 10 minutes or 15 minutes I am stepping back from my thoughts or disturbing emotions or feelings, but I am aware of that, or at least there is a try where I cultivate more conscious living. So what was shared, Taru was sharing in the beginning, to know that, okay, this is again coming from the thought domain or the feeling domain, and I can choose. So this we read in the beginning of these conversations, where he was sharing that when we step back as a witnessing Purusha, then we see that this witnessing also has a power of giving sanction or refusing sanction. तो पता लगता है कि बाय डिफॉल्ट सैंक्शन मिली हुई है, बट हम कॉन्शियस होना शुरू करते हैं तो उससे पता लगता है, ओ आई कैन स्टेप बैक हियर, आई डोंट नीड टू टेक एनी एक्शन. इसको बिल्कुल भी अटेंशन देने की जरूरत नहीं है जो अभी तक हमने किया होगा. It must have played a role in our life, and that is completely fine. But now if we follow the dictates of those older patterns again and again, then we see that they are just not helping us anymore. They are making us more miserable again and again the more we listen to it. So then the moment I am conscious of it, I can choose to step back. So there is the power of sanction in my hands as the witnessing consciousness. This we had read earlier. So it's a very empowering feeling. It's a very empowering feeling if we become conscious of a disturbing thought or disturbing emotion and we choose to step back. And Thich Nhat Hanh, in one of his talks, shares that this is true freedom. And he has his own way of saying it. So he smiles, he's smiling and he's saying that, this is freedom. Like, this is what I call freedom. So choosing what to follow, what not to follow, and not being puppeted away by all these things.
Yeah, Monica, I have a
Yeah.
doubt here. The three centers, Sahasrara,
Hmm.
Agnya, and Solar. What is this Solar?
Solar plexus.
Acha. Okay. Okay.
You thought
Thank
maybe
you.
a solar panel above the
Ha.
that would be Sahasrar.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
because Sahasrar actually feels like like mother shares, something looking up.
Yeah, that's what I was imagining. The mirror up, facing up.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Thank you.
So actually, this refers to again a practical bodily experience, where he shares that the best method I have found consists precisely in climbing as high as possible, and then the lower being is calmed and the three centers are united. So this we will feel if we, those of us who want to practice with this, if we place our attention above what we talk about, 3-4 inches above the head, then we see that it actually unites the center until throat also, it unite, and maybe the heart, the solar also is included. So solar plexus is a center many times in mother's writings or whatever words, we see that there is a confusion. Mother, instead of using the heart center, at times she is using the solar plexus center, but she is actually referring to the center of the chest. So this has been, I think, in some of the books that we read, there was a, in brackets there was written that mother is referring to the soul. When mother says solar plexus, it is actually the heart center, the center of the chest. That is what mother refers to as solar. So again, but we don't have to worry about too much of technicality. Yeah, anything here, anyone?
So here, when Sri Aurobindo is referring, this is the actual solar plexus, right? When Pavitra Da is referring and mute. You're on mute.
Yeah, actually this we have to experience, because it's a very experience. So if we, for even for 10 minutes, which is actually a longer time, it's difficult, our attention slips. So even if for 5 minutes, 6 minutes, if we are able to place our attention up there and make it stabilized, we will see that we actually feel a unification of all these centers, है ना? तो वो अब किसी किसी का नीचे तक हो सकता है, तो और थोड़ा नीचे भी जा सकता है, बट हो सकता है कि हार्ट तक जाके बंद हो जाए, दैट फीलिंग दैट यू गेट. So here I would feel that Sri Aurobindo again is referring to that center, heart center, but it could be lower also. मुझे पता नहीं. But mother के बारे में तो मैं, क्योंकि there were some books where in brackets it was written that mother is referring to the center of heart here when she is sharing the solar plexus. So this is a very safe practice, because the other practice, which is say awakening of the kundalini, and people try all kinds of things, and they have their maybe benefits also, but that is a little bit dangerous, mother says, because when the centers open down and upwards, then your centers of wisdom and center of openness of heart, they have not yet opened. So there is a lack of intelligence, and that is why we see that many a times many gurus, or they may have siddhis, some of the centers may have awakened, but at some or the other place the energy gets stuck, and people think that, oh, this is a realized man, maybe he has some powers of or siddhis, but he actually is not working out of his highest consciousness. But here in this yoga, that is why more attention is on opening of the psychic, because psychic is the part which is totally devoted to the divine. So when that opens and that carries us forward up above, it kind of like a magnet is attracted towards the heights above higher consciousness, then you can't go wrong. है ना, क्योंकि उसमें आप द ओनली थिंग दैट यू आर डिवोटेड टू इज द डिवाइन. You are not craving for ambition, you are not craving for name, fame, respect out of this spirituality. So it's a very safe path that we have. And even if that, like, the aspiration rises up and the force descends, that process also is very safe because the upper centers are opening first, which are centers of knowledge, centers of openness of heart, wisdom, and then slowly, it goes downwards. It's a very safe thing. And again, mother, although Sri Aurobindo and mother have talked about, like we are reading here also, and two sadhaks very clearly indicated things, but if we take it very simply, remembering the mother, and all of the rest of the things, whatever is needed is done. We don't have to separately care for, oh, I have to open this chakra or that chakra. Not needed. So whatever we are ready for, that will open or not. One thing which I've also observed, again, that through letters of Mother Sri Aurobindo or in general all these writings, that these experiences are not given much importance in this yoga. They may happen as a side effect, as a byproduct. They may happen कि अच्छा चलो हार्ट सेंटर में कुछ फील हो गया, या आईब्रो के बीच में कुछ फील हो गया, या ऊपर कुछ फील हो गया, but feelings of visions or experiences, they have their place, but they are not overtly emphasized neither by mother nor by Sri Aurobindo. क्योंकि होता क्या है, फिर हमारा ध्यान भटक जाता है. तो सारा ध्यान हो जाता है कि अरे वो एक्सपीरियंस जो हुआ था ना, मुझे वो वापस चाहिए, वहां पे ध्यान चला जाता है. While this yoga is more about, what we understand is more about having perfection in work, day to day work, day to day thoughts and feelings that we have for our fellow men, or people, fellow people. How are they progressing? Having goodwill for each other, kindness, and trying to be perfect, and more wanting to be more and more sincere towards our own selves and in our interactions with people, looking at our manipulations and agendas in the mind, becoming more conscious of those things. So those are given more importance, because यहाँ पे ध्यान बहुत easily भटक जाता है, क्योंकि हम सब ढूंढ रहे हैं कहीं ना कहीं, we all are looking for a contentment somewhere. That is why we are try to turn mostly to the divine, that कहीं तो मिलेगा. तो फिर वो हमें लगता है कि अच्छा वहां मिलने लग गया, अब फिर उससे चिपक जाते हैं, एक्सपीरियंसेस एंड विजन्स एंड ऑल काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स. तो कहीं भी चिपकने का स्कोप नहीं है यहाँ पे. बट ऑफ कोर्स वी आर वेरी स्मार्ट, हम तब भी चिपक सकते हैं. बट अदरवाइज या इट्स लाइक दैट इट सीम्स. ओके. Yeah, so this is about somebody known to Pavitra, and I thought maybe we would not understand, so better not go into it. Okay, we can take this. This seems good. Yeah, just last, I think this would be the last that we take today. So, anyone wants to read?
Okay, I will. Friday, February 5, 1926. These last few days were better, the concentration easier, and the detachment of the mind more happy. I can separate myself from the mind and observe its action. But when I try to make it dead still, I cannot do it except by concentrating near the Sahasrara, trying to separate myself from the body, and the breathing becomes difficult. There are two ways of becoming aware of a higher world. One is to send a part of oneself there while remaining at the same time in one's physical consciousness. The other is to leave this physical consciousness and to enter into a sort of trance, which may come very near catalepsy or coma. You're not in a condition to try that, and probably there is a confusion between the two movements in you, the one of quieting the mind and the other of going out of your physical body. This is probable. When I meditate, I am aware of certain movements which I locate in my vital body. They are not physical though. I feel them physically, especially between the chest and the head and within the head. There are movements in the higher body and they are felt even physically. But mostly they are a consequence, as your breathing trouble proves, of an effort to go out of your physical body. They are not necessary. You can simply become aware of the movement of the consciousness from one point to another. Now that you can observe the calmness of the mind and separate yourself from the action of the mind linked to the physical, you must give up these efforts and remain in an expectant attitude, open to the action from above, without making an effort to go towards this above, but knowing it is there, offering yourself for its descent. Do not even make an effort to see and feel. Quiet all below and wait. Form a simple aspiration towards what you know is near.
Yeah, thank you. So I think that's it. Yeah. Yeah, so this is clear. I hope this is clear. This we also read in Savitri, if some of us can recall. There, when we were reading about Ashwapati's yoga, the yoga of soul's release, there again and again it was a mention, like although he's shooting, like high above, he's going, touching his higher consciousness, but he's also again and again in touch with his physical self. He is not leaving his physical self aside. So he's in touch with the body, and that link is there, that bridge is there. So here, that, yeah. So this is what in integral yoga we see, that this is very much emphasized, that by one is in touch with the higher light or a higher space or a higher floor, as we call it at times, but one is also aware of the physical self. It's not that you go into a trance, like of, people do all kinds of things because of all, there are possibilities. So we can do astral travels, and all kind of things are possible, where you leave the body aside and you are having fun in some other planes, which is fine. To each his own. People may have developed such capacities, and maybe they have something to learn from there, but some of us may not resonate with that, and some of us may resonate again more with that, yes, I will be in touch with a part which is higher above than me, which is a greater light, a stronger light, and yet that light has to change and transmute the darker parts in the lower. So there is a connect that needs to be there, and that is why we see that Sri Aurobindo uses many a times these words like mediator or mediatrix. When for Savitri, we use the word golden key, or for the mother, that she is the golden key, she is the golden bridge. So this bridge needs to be there. because this gulf that is there कि या तो ऊपर के हो गए, नीचे का सारा भूल गए, और या फिर नीचे में इतने डूबे हुए हैं कि ऊपर की कोई होश ही नहीं है. तो यहाँ पे कह रहे हैं कि नहीं, ऊपर के भी हैं और नीचे के भी हैं. Like when Sri Aurobindo talks about the surface consciousness, surface mind, he says that yes, the man is all this, the surface consciousness, but he is also more. He is all this disturbance, but he is also more. So we are not disowning any floor. है ना, कि मैं तो सिर्फ एक पूर्ण स्वच्छंद आत्मा हूं और मेरा इस शरीर से कोई लेना देना नहीं है. नहीं, मैं आत्मा भी हूं और मेरा इस शरीर से लेना देना भी है. तो उसको हम छोड़ नहीं रहे. So this is, I feel that this is what Sri Aurobindo strengthens here, that you are not in a condition to go into trance, and probably there is a confusion between the two movements in you, the one of quieting the mind and the other of going out of your physical body. And then he says that yeah, there are movements in the higher body, different, we have different levels, planes of consciousness. So Annamaya kosha, Pranamaya kosha, Manomaya kosha, and some things may be happening in any particular plane, but you feel it physically. So there are movements in the higher body and they are felt even physically. And then I feel, again, you can pick up, please, whatever resonates with you and share it also. But this actually came out very strongly for me, that now that you can observe the calmness of the mind and separate yourself from the action of the mind linked to the physical. So this is our the physical mind, the chattery mind, जिसको बोलने की बहुत आदत होती है. So one is able to kind of stabilize a detached stance from that. You must give up these efforts, and so now there is no effort to go somewhere up in trance. वहां पे जाने की जरूरत नहीं है. Just remain like open. And this we saw in when mother shares how to have true intuition. Mother shares just be open, and as if you're looking above and you're just waiting, 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 waiting. And there is no frustration in that waiting, because that waiting is beautiful. हाँ, जब हम किसी को बहुत चाहते हैं और हम उसके लिए वेट कर रहे होते हैं, if it's even a drop of pure love, one never feels angry at that person कि लेट क्यों आए. There is a delight in that waiting, there is a joy in that waiting. That waiting could be of minutes or hours or days, or doesn't matter, but there is a joy, there is a delight, that you're waiting for a loved one. So that kind of a waiting, that you have a delight in that waiting. So mother also talks about that open to the action from above without making an effort to go towards. So there is no frustration or agitation कि नहीं नहीं चाहिए ही चाहिए, ऊपर कुछ ऐसा है जो मुझे मिल नहीं रहा और मुझे उसके पास जाना है, क्यों नहीं मिल रहा. So there is no frustration like that. हमें पता है कि हमें मिलेगा ही मिलेगा और जितना मिलना होगा उतना ही मिलेगा, उससे ज्यादा मिल नहीं सकता, और जितना मिलना है उससे कम नहीं मिल सकता. तो दैट फेथ एंड सर्टिट्यूड इज देयर, एंड दिस इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन एस्पिरेशन एंड डिजायर. है ना, डिजायर में देयर इज एजिटेशन, एस्पिरेशन में देयर इज नो एजिटेशन, देयर इज नो इंटेंस वाइब्रेशन, एंड येट देयर इज एन इंटेंसिटी ऑफ इट्स ओन काइंड. So open to the action from above without making an effort to go towards above, but knowing it is there, कि पता है कि ऊपर कुछ है, ये नहीं पता क्या है, लेकिन पता है कि कुछ है. अब जैसे हम सब हमने भगवान को देखा थोड़ी ना है, बट हमें पता है कि है. तो एक सर्टिट्यूड है कि है. सो बट नोइंग इट इज देयर, ऑफरिंग योर सेल्फ फॉर इट्स डिसेंट. Like how Kabir ji shares that I have prepared my angan for you, like the divine to come. So preparing that ground, offering yourself for its descent. Do not even make an effort to see and feel. Again, that is an agitated effort. कुछ तो फील हो जाए, कुछ तो पता लग जाए कि हाँ कुछ हुआ. वो चीज नहीं है, वो एजिटेशन नहीं है. Quiet all below and wait. Form a simple aspiration towards what you know is near. And this could require a very, very long time. So we have to be prepared for that. जैसे मदर बताती है ना, कि मदर कहती है कि आई थिंक, आई डोंट नो वेयर शी टॉक्स अबाउट दिस, दैट as if you go inside and you sit in front of a closed door. And she says, and then you sit in front of the closed door and you wait and wait and wait and wait. Now, how long that waiting is, we don't know. But you do it every day because you want to do it. It feels worthwhile to do it. And then mother says that one day there is like, a suddenness and the door opens and there is something new in your being. Yeah, so nobody can force us, towards all these experiments and practices. It is our own conviction that it feels true, that I maybe feel resonating that no, this feels right. I have to do that. Only then we'll be able to do that because it requires a lot of perseverance. तो अगर अभी कहीं और हमारा ध्यान है जहां से हमें लगता है कि नहीं वो करना चाहिए तो वो कर लेना चाहिए, क्योंकि दो कश्तियों में सवार करने की हमें जरूरत नहीं है, उसमें पैंट फट जाती है बीच में से. So yes. Anything here? Anyone?
This door example that you just gave, in which he's saying just wait outside the door, and the other places where she says push, how how's that? So it's the same space, right?
Yeah, I think it's the same movement. It's
Yeah,
just that you are persistent.
yeah.
मतलब वो रोज आप इमेजिन करो कि एक मंदिर में आप रोज जाते हो, रोज दरवाजा नहीं खुलता है लेकिन आपको बड़ी आशा है कि कभी खुलेगा. तो आप रोज पहुंच जाते हो एक मैडमैन की तरह. यू जस्ट रीच and you wait and you may push. You are right, actually mother says that you can push also, but you are not wanting to pull it down. That's what I think is referred here. Mother also says that don't pull the force down. वो नहीं करना. there is a kind of a passive receptivity. तो उसमें बहुत ज्यादा एक आई फील उसमें एक स्थिरता है कि तुम्हें अभी और कुछ नहीं चाहिए इस पूरी दुनिया में, अभी तुम्हें बस वेट करना है. वो कन्विक्शन कहीं तुम में डेवलप हो चुका है. And then of course what pushing can happen, to each his own. Every experience would be different. Like knock 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 knock, that can happen and things may not happen immediately.
Really conventionally speaking, na, like because pushing seems very different than waiting. But when one goes in, one sees इतना difference है नहीं कि every day if one is going or not every whenever one gets a chance when one is going, sitting or pushing, how does that matter? The point is one is going and is wanting to. That's the point. And
बिल्कुल. Yeah. और ये मुझे लगता है कि मतलब टू रीच एट अ पॉइंट लाइक दिस वेयर यू डोंट वांट टू एंगेज इन एनीथिंग बट actually sit and wait, for at least some time during the day or night, whatever. I think this we reach after like a lot of turmoil in our life, and we have, and that is why everything that comes on the way is a very cheap bargain, that at least now you are convinced that no, this I have to do, like this feels right, I have to attend to it. And there is a phase, there is a line in Savitri where he shares that an absolute supernatural darkness falls upon man sometimes when he draws nearer to God. क्योंकि उस रास्ते में आपके पास कोई नहीं है. नो फ्रेंड, नो मैटर हाउ क्लोज द फ्रेंड मे बी टू यू, वो सबका अकेले का ही रास्ता है. So one has to go through that period of whatever. जो अक्सर लोग कहते हैं ना कि यार मेरा तो लोगों से वही उठ गया है, विश्वास ही उठ गया है, कोई किसी के, है ना. हम बोलते हैं अक्सर ऐसे ही, हम आगे बढ़ते हैं कि हाँ मैंने देख लिया, दुनिया किसी की भी नहीं है, सब अपना सोचते हैं. तो एक्चुअली ये बहुत अच्छी बात है. इसका मतलब आगे कुछ होने वाला है. अच्छी बात है कि कि विश्वास उठ रहा है, बट हम बड़े कमाल के लोग हैं क्योंकि हमारा विश्वास इतना आसानी से उठता नहीं। दैट्स द थिंग। तो अगर एक से उठ गया तो अब दूसरे पे लग जाता है, दूसरे से उठ गया तो लगता है नहीं नहीं ये नहीं धोखा देगा, तो पूरा एक्चुअली में विश्वास उठ जाना कि हाँ वहां से नहीं मिलेगा, to reach that point, and that involves some kind of vital disappointment, emotional disappointment, which is very welcome on the way. तो एक्चुअली इसमें इसमें हमको एक मेडल मिलना चाहिए। हम बड़ा दुखी होते हैं ना ये सोच के कि यार उसकी बड़ी बुरी हालत है, उसका ना विश्वास उठ गया है, व्हाटएवर, बड़ा डिप्रेस। एक्चुअली में इसमें मेडल मिलना चाहिए क्योंकि इट्स एक्चुअली अ स्टेप फॉरवर्ड इन अवर जर्नी, इट्स नॉट अ स्टेप बैकवर्ड व्हेन विश्वास उठ गया। तो अगर किसी को भी फील हो रहा है कि मेरा शॉपिंग में मन नहीं लगता, लोगों से मिलने में ज़्यादा मन नहीं लगता, तो गुड सिग्नल, वी कैन गिव अवर सेल्व्स अ मेडल। And there is this paragraph by the mother which I have been unable to locate so far. I've read it somewhere, but a couple of times I tried to look up but didn't find it again. Where mother shares that there comes a time, paraphrasing her, that there comes a time in our life that there is such a deep void that one feels in one's life, and nothing can fulfill that void. Nothing, no person, no situation, no nothing that you buy, no relationship. And then the time has come that it can only be filled by the divine. It's a very positive, and when one is feeling that void, it actually feels very depressive and negative in the beginning, but it is just like a clearing up of space, like clearing up of older movements, and something new has to emerge. Hanji. So any last comments, anyone? Okay, so let's end then here today. So just taking a moment of silence and dedicating all the merit, collective or individual, sharing it with all sentient beings near and far. All want happiness and contentment. May we not have suffering and all the causes of suffering be taken away from us. May we all have true happiness and well-being, and the causes of true happiness and well-being.